Jak and Casie is a simple little Kickstarter game that you should actually pay attention to. Put simply, this is the Resident Evil 4 attaché case system as an entire video game. There are several references to Resident Evil 4 in writing, weapon design, healing items, and the way the block system works. I do want to say early that I'm more than likely sure that this game's idea came from the super best friends making the joke that they should have made Attaché Case HD, a mobile minigame version of Resident Evil 4 system. I don't mind this. In fact, I love it, but I just wanted to get the probable origins out of the way. Go check out the super best friend, by the way. They're really good. You play the game by dragging items like ammo, weapons, healing items, and other goodies from the left side of the screen, known as the feed, to the right side, managing your inventory space. The item you want to use needs to be in the top left, and weapons need to be manually reloaded, which can be done by dragging ammo to a weapon and hitting a button, like older Resident Evil games. Items need to fit with each other, and unlike Resident Evil 4, the weapon's actual design is what determines what blocks it takes up. The game doesn't have purely rectangle shapes for its items, like RE4 does. This makes inventory management much more of a puzzle than it was in that game, and certainly much better than how the latest Deus Ex games did it. Some items, like sniper rifles, need an extreme amount of horizontal length, because your little transdimensional closet, Jak, is wider than he is long. The sniper won't fit in vertically, period. Other items, like the skeleton gun, barely fit vertically, but do better horizontally, again fitting in with the idea that this is more of a puzzle game that likes to throw wrenches in your plans. Items take turns to use, which can trap you in a loop of damage to heals, necessitating the use of making better items with stove and ingredients, which also take up space. Ammo also takes up space, and reloading takes time, so the game is both a timed puzzle and a somewhat random one. Speaking of times, it's how attacks happen. After a certain amount of time needed for your action bar to fill up, your character automatically uses the item in the most top left corner. If no item is in the corner, but one is vertically away and the other is horizontally away, the horizontal one would be used. Using healing items like weapons will cause you to throw the weapon as if it was a weapon, so you need to prime it to heal instead of just using it. Enemies have resistances and weaknesses, which the game tells me that I can get another immediate action for hitting the latter, but I haven't yet, even on a kill. I'm willing to admit user error, however. Some enemies are weak to gun attacks, some enemies are weak to melee attacks, and certain types of damage only done by certain guns, etc., etc. For example, an enemy will be resistant to firearms because of their soft fur. This system reminds me first of Shin Megami Tensei, at least on paper if I could get the bonus turns to happen. There's no magic, so theoretically this game will have less weaknesses and resistances to worry about, but that's counterbalanced by having very little time to think about your actions. I really like the system, and it all flows very well. The developers clearly put a lot of time into thinking about ways to keep the moment-to-moment actions interesting without breaking the balance. Part of this comes from the clear Resident Evil influences, like the combinations of sweet grass and stoves to make better items. It works slightly differently in Resident Evil, but the main idea is there. Let's just make this whole paragraph about Resident Evil references. The R9 pistol is clearly a Red 9 reference, the eggs is healing items taking a single space or a reference to the eggs in RE4, the most common sniper rifle looks an awful lot like the one in RE4, the grenade is blue like the flash is, there's a big old fish, and there's weapon combining, and there's a merchant at checkpoints, and back on topic, the merchant needs inventory management in the same way you do. They can only hold so many items too, so you may not always be able to sell everything. It's honestly kind of brilliant. I don't have much to say about it other than that. It's just really, really good. But on top of all of those RE4 references, the game is still clearly its own thing with its own ideas. There are weapons dedicated to only debuffing enemies like the Spotlight, melee weapons that need to be reloaded, super charming dialogue, a pixel art style that I can actually stand and enjoy, great designs, fun animations, and all sorts of stuff that you should see for yourself. Check this game out. No, really, check it out, it's pretty good.